Charles Jones with Grand Canyon University. I'm doing my Disposition of Leaders uh, paperwork, and I do have two of my students interviewing. Can't see them in the background because marketing and membership and permission from the parents, being that they're minors. All right, so what we're going to do is they're going to ask me the questions, and I'm going to answer them up to my knowledge and information and based how I feel and what I know. And let's get started. Today is actually Wednesday, April 18th, 2018, also. So let's get it there. And I'm ready. Go ahead.
What disposition do you possess that you think will make you a successful teacher?
The dispositions that I possess that make me a successful teacher, um, pretty much the compassion that I have for the students involved with it. Lift the glasses up more. Compassion for involved with the students, dedication, honesty. I got to put my glasses on pretty much with that. Respect for the students and the population with it. Fair is what I am. Pretty much curious is I'm curious about them learning as much as learning the educational part of the process with it also. And then it's also we'll talk about developing the curiosity by giving higher order critical thinking questions and things. As a matter of fact, just today I was holding up the class this morning, science class, and a few of the students began to ask me questions on the four states of matter and why is what is a banana and how come what looks like it's a solid is a mass. Well, at that point there, it was like, all right, let's give a learning process, give them more challenges and to probe deeper. Because they're asking a little few questions that I could have used, or actually I did use, to give them further thought, such as going into what Mercury does and like cesium. So that was an example of it pretty much with that. Fairness and diversity, I mean, respect for the diversity of it. I mean, at the school, we have a lot of students here who actually come from diverse backgrounds. And you got to incorporate that as far as with them learning it and understanding exactly what's happening and going on. I was looking at you, Ms. Powell, because you asked me the question, not the camera as much. So we have to be very mindful about that. There are certain students who have a higher order thinking, and it is some that actually have to downscale the lesson plans with. It makes for a difficulty as far as developing a lesson plan, activities that go streamline. I mean, but that's part of teaching. You have to be able to sit over there and modulate and be able to apply different methods and tactics and activities for students, to challenge them, to get more up out of them. And even the ones that aren't at that level, even develop up activities that, soon going to develop them with their competencies. Did I answer the questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead, give me some more.
Question 2. What disposition do you need to work on before you enter the classroom as a first year teacher?
You know what? I wrote that down pretty much with that one there. And that would have to be the whole idea of, I would say, not necessarily fairness, but, oh gosh. I did write that because that was when I was about to write down the whole paperwork about it. And that was professional conduct. How can I conduct myself professionally? And that doesn't mean not being on time, but speaking to a student directly and remaining professional when this is a real world application. See, it's not necessarily that you have a skill as much as a trade craft is what's going on. That skill, that's what's taught up in the textbook. Write down, take the notes, learn the methodologies. But when the real world application happens, how long am I going to lean on those skills before I start applying the experiences, which becomes a trade to it? So at one point about it could be skewed or even seem as though, well, you're not remaining professional. Well, yeah, but see, I'm talking about a young child here who had to sit up there and pull up some dirty clothes out of the hamper because no one washed them, get their brother and sister up early to get them to school because there's no breakfast at home. Mom didn't show up. Have to walk way around another neighborhood because there's a gang fight going on. They don't want to be involved in the middle of it. Finally get over to school and the teacher's yelling and screaming at them because you don't have a pencil. Seriously? How do you remain professional? I mean, professional, he doesn't have a pencil, he's not prepared, so I have to give him a 0. Am I really giving this person a 0? Or am I going to go ahead and make do what's necessary to make sure that they're still in there in the learning process? Did I answer that one there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What does a professional educator look like and how do they behave? What standard guides their thinking and actions?
What standard? Who?
Guide.
What standards guides
What
them?
standards guides their thinking
Well,
and action?
we all got to follow with the cross core curriculum, the cross core, the Common Core state standards that's been in effect right now, and plus also the goals and objectives that we got in place. Um, Compassionate, knowing the subject matter. Well, you know what? More importantly, knowing how the subject matter is going to apply to developing that skill, developing that child's minds for the future about it. There was an article, I think it was by Michael Robinson, of the video that we had to do. So you mean to tell me that I'm preparing this kid for the future, for the next something by the time they retire, what we say, 2065, and we don't know what's going to be happening in the next 5 years to the next presidency? I have to prepare that kid for not the ability to go ahead and go into the world with these necessary skills, but how to use those skills when real world situations start applying and twisting and turning to them. Maybe there's a death in the family, maybe there's a death, to a close one. Maybe there's a birth or pregnancy. Maybe there's, a dropout of school because of finances or something. Where the textbook doesn't teach that? How is it that I have to apply this subject matter to let them know, use these skills taught in here to develop and get yourself through life? That's necessarily what the focus is. Now, of course, I got the goals and objectives with the class that you have to pass, but understand that there's a bigger picture of developing you to become an adult, become a purposeful and meaningful person in society. And that's what I see with that. That definitely knowing how to apply these different materials to not necessarily their matriculation in education, but matriculation to becoming more responsible, person. Was there any more questions or anything? That's it. Thank you for watching my interview. May you go ahead and look at it. I think we're going to do a few. No, we have to do any edits or anything. And have a great day. You can press the stop button.